Hey everyone! Today I'm going to share with you my self-guided training plan to try and break 2 hours and 50 minutes in the Eugene Marathon on April 26th. Hello everyone, welcome to the Running Otaku. I am the Running Otaku. And for those of you who've been following the channel, 2 hours and 50 minutes for me in the marathon seems a bit unrealistic. And I admit, it's a bit of a stretch given that my PR is only 3 hours and 9 minutes, which I set in Eugene in 2018. But based on a half marathon I did 3 months ago at 1:21, I actually think that 2 hours and 50 minutes for the full marathon is just on this side of realistic. Hard, but doable. So this training plan incorporates a lot of what I did that was so successful for me for the half marathon training cycle, but with just a bit more volume. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Excellent, so here's my Hobonichi Techo, and let's go ahead and write out the training plan for the 2020 Eugene Marathon training cycle, as you can see here. Now, I'll start first with my typical kind of weekly routine. And what I do there is 4 times a week, I will be running easy. And easy for me is something like marathon pace plus about 2 minutes. And that's to be refreshed and make sure that I'm building aerobic base. Then twice a week, I'll be doing some kind of speed workout, and I'll get to that in just a second. Then 1 time a week, I'll be doing a long run, which I consider a workout, and I'll be a little bit more specific about that in just a second. Twice a week, I will be doing strides, and so I'll do 1 set of 20 seconds. And then once a week, I'll be doing hill repeats, and that'll be a set of 10 at about 30 seconds. And then I should do more, but I won't. So I wrote 1 time a week doing some kind of strength training. Okay, so that's a general weekly routine. Now let's talk about the workouts, the speed workouts. So I'll be running them at different paces. The first of which is 5K pace, which for me is about 5:35 or so. An example of this type of workout would be a fartlek of 1 minute on, 30 seconds off. And then CV pace, which for me is 5:50, maybe 8 by 1K, something like that. Threshold, 6:10 pace for me, maybe 8 by 5 minutes. And then tempo is a continuous run, a little faster than marathon pace, 45 minutes or so. And then marathon pace, so this will all be part of my long runs. So maybe 10 miles easy, then the last 8 miles at marathon pace. And then I'm gonna do 3 races, a 10K, a half, and then the full marathon. And these are to benchmark my fitness, plus also give me something to look forward to break up the monotony of the training. Now, I'm gonna color code each of these because when I get to the actual week by week plan, I'm just gonna use the color codes to designate what kind of workout it is. So dark blue is 5K, this dark green is threshold, the light green is tempo, etc. And then of course the 3 races, the 10K, the half, and the full. Okay, so those are the training intensities. Now let's get to the details of the training plan itself. The marathon is April 26th, which will be 16 weeks from the start. So I'm gonna draw 4 months here, and then I will label those, January, February, and so on and so forth. Now once that's done, I'm gonna show each week. For me, they start on Mondays, so January 6th is the first day, and then the 13th, and the 20th, and then every 7 days thereafter, until I fill out the full 16-week schedule, as you can see here. Okay, now I'm going to draw a few columns. The next column I'm going to draw is going to show the miles I'm going to be running on each of those weeks, and then another column to show the intensities for the workouts, and then finally what I'm going to be doing in the long runs. So the volume or miles run, the type of workout, and then the long run. So right now I'm doing 50 to 60 miles a week, and I'm gonna hold that for the first few weeks of training, and then bump it up 10 miles to about 60 to 70. And if possible, I'm gonna try and bump that up another 10 to 70 to 80 miles per week. And then 3 weeks before the race, I start my taper, and you can see the mileage decreasing here. So that's the mileage for each week. Now the types. So I'm drawing in the dark blue here, which again is the 5K paced kind of fartlek, 1 minute on, 30 seconds off, or something equivalent to that. I've got a bunch of them in the earlier part of the training cycle, and then one towards the end just for sharpening. And then the CV pace stuff in the light blue. Now CV is the maximum pace you can hold for half an hour, and these are usually like K repeats. And you can see I'm running them in generally the same week in which I'm doing the fartleks. And then next is the dark green, and this is the threshold runs, which I found super beneficial when doing my half marathon training. So I'm adding a bunch of these into this marathon training plan. I think it'll help me, and they're not that intense. For me, about 6:10 pace, which is hard, but definitely comfortable. So there you go, a bunch of them. And then the tempo runs. So these are long, continuous runs of maybe about 45 minutes, maybe 50 minutes, at a little faster than marathon. And in general, I'll be running these tempo runs in the same week in which I'm doing the threshold runs. Now for the marathon pace stuff, which is orange, I'll be doing 4 specific workouts at marathon pace, and these are all part of my long runs. And you can see right here, and I'll explain the long run in just a second. And then finally, the races. So a 10K about 6 weeks in, and then a half marathon about 10 weeks in or so, and then finally the target marathon. Now, as for the long runs, right now I'm doing about 2 hours for my long run, and I'm going to hold that for the first few weeks of training. And then after that, I'll bump it up to 2:15. Now, if I have a week with a race in it, I'm going to skip the long run. And then eventually, the last kind of 4 weeks of hard workouts will be 2 hours, 30 minutes for my long run, which is long for me. And then the taper, 1 hour 30, and then back down to 1 hour. So there you have it. 16 weeks to a 20-minute PR in the marathon. Simple, right? Well, okay, probably not that simple. I'm sure I'm going to miss a few days of training because either I'm injured or the fatigue is going to build up. But I hope to follow those general guidelines, listening to my body and making changes along the way. At any rate, my goal for 2020 isn't to PR in the marathon, although that would be really nice. My true goal actually isn't until December of 2020, and that's when there is the Masters National Cross Country Team Championships. You see, I'm on a team that's nationally ranked, and right now I'm probably 9th or 10th guy, but my goal is to try and make the top 7 or maybe even the top 5 and score for this nationally ranked team. Okay, so how many of you do your own training plans as well? If you do, I'd love to hear about them. Maybe you can make a video like this, or at least in the comments below, talk about the outline of what your training plan incorporates. If you don't make your own training plans, and maybe you use something off the shelf, which ones have you used, and have they been successful for you? All right, guys, short and sweet. That's it for today. If you like what you saw, click the like button. If you really like what you saw, then go ahead and click subscribe, and maybe even that little bell right next to it. That way you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. That's it for today. I want to thank you guys once again, and we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.